So, opening up, do you guys want to ask a question, or should I go into the spiel?
Why are they the way they are?
The ones in DBJ or the actual Makyo Jin?
Let's go with the DBZ version first. I feel like that might be better.
Alright, so we then need to go to the Makyo Star. So,
Black hole.
much like... Well, unlike any other planet, the Makyo Star doesn't have an orbit, right? It is a free-roaming planet that somehow has an atmosphere. Don't ask the questions. Just let it work. There's no mega heat death or freeze. I guess it generates its own radiation and heat from the dark energy to sustain a civilization. I want to assume. I don't, want to. I don't. I don't want anybody to think this is canon, but I feel like something happened long ago to knock it out of orbit, and that's why the Makyos, the Makayans, don't live there anymore. And they just kind of feed off of the energy when it passes by every so often.
So they're parasites?
Of dark energy, if you want to put it that way. They're known as the serpent race in the Japanese version. And they apparently subsist off of fruit. And the only real shared trait is elongated fangs and sharp elongated ears. That is kind of their racial trait. The dark energy that comes from their planet and their homeworld, and I guess from their species, is what makes them so prone to less inhibited actions. I won't say evil, because accidentally feeding a child fermented fruits and then actually worrying for their safety as you chase them through a castle doesn't scream evil to me.
Fair enough.
I mean, I'd say it's probably a cultural thing, plus a slight infection from the dark energy of the planet. As for DBJ, Makyo Jin, not Makayans, we're gonna move away from the serpent species, if you don't mind.
Well, what if we do?
No. You can look like what the fuck is his name? Is it Mustard? Yeah, you can look like Mustard if you want to. It's like a lizard bull thing.
Yeah.
I guess you can have horns and fangs and no ears, even though the stated commonality is the long, sharp ears.
The way that Mustard looks it's as if that like his ears are hiding in his hair, because if you look at Vinegar, his hair is really long as well, but his ears poke out. I don't know.
I mean, he's got a mullet. I don't know if you can you hide ears that big in a mullet?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I know very little about them.
Mustard, also known as Tard. Why are you guys so mean to this person? He was a decent character. Makyo Seijin. I just cut out the say part because it's... Yeah, I know they're a living being. Fucking relax, man. But yeah, so DBJ, Makayans, Makyo Jin are on a Makyo star that does have an orbit. It's not a free-roaming fucking planet of death. And it was destroyed, but it was not destroyed by a full-powered Masenko from fucking Gohan.
Yes.
Fucking Gohan was like, I saw Mr. Piccolo blow up the moon. I can do it too.
Look at me go.
Stop laughing at me, Moon.
Mo.
But for DBJ, the Makyo Star is much like Earth. Since Earth has the demon door on it, the door that reaches the demon realm, and thus there's an energy that has encompassed Earth and the Earthlings that gives them access to magic and the other supernatural bullshittery like zombies, ghosts, skeletal beings, Frankenstein's monsters, and vampires and shit.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Are we talking about Makyo Jin? Or are we talking about Earth now?
I'm making a point. The Makyo Star also has that same kind of infection. I'm having the dark energy and the radiation come from its deep connection to the Dead Zone, which is apparently a hyperspace void of darkness, which we all know is kind of sort of true, even though in the anime only Blackwater Mist, we actually see a scene of being in the Dead Zone with Garlic Jr. before he escapes. So there's like a whole civilization and shit in there. So I'm treating it kind of like a new demon realm, only with a, I don't want to say a darker perspective, but a far eviler.
How many parallel realms to the physical are there in DBJ?
The Afterlife, Hiffle, Demon Realm, Dead Zone.
What's the Dead Zone again? Isn't it just a void?
So the Dead Zone in the movie was just a void of nothingness. But in the anime, for the Blackwater Mist, it was actually a place. Like a prison. Kind of like the prison that Superman used to put away General Zod.
So it sounds a lot like the 13th on Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Now, one of the things that I am touching on a little bit, they're like hinting at it just a tad between what is like dark energy.
Mhm.
So the first introduction would be the Devil Man from Baba's tournament, Baba's like trial, right?
Yeah.
So he tried to like use Goku's dark energy to basically hurt him, and Goku has no dark energy because he's just the purest little small cinnamon roll that he is. That occasionally punches people. So
Yeah.
It was null and void, and he had nothing. This devil man had nothing, which I think they just recently made another reference to it. Oh no! I asked my husband who the heck Janemba was because I just found out who Janemba was.
Yep.
And apparently, he fell in a vat or a lake of dark energy in hell or Heffel. Are we saying Heffel?
We're saying Hiffle for the joke, but it's hell.
Okay. So yeah, he fell into a vat of it and became an entity.
Yep.
And
fell into or was exploded, whatever version of it you care to follow.
Yeah.
Super dark energy of the mortal and hell zones fused with the Oni, and he became Janemba.
Yes. And so it's just kind of like one of those things. Like, is dark energy like a mirror version of just Ki?
In a sense, I would say so. Like, there's multiple different energy sources that you can kind of pick up on in Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Super. Destruction energy, holy energy, ki, magic, dark energy. I think that's it.
Chaos? Is there chaos? I think I remember chaos.
Mental, telekinetic, psionic.
I don't know.
I feel like you should have like a diagram of this or something to demonstrate all the energies, how they interact.
Probably, but not for this video.
Like I've asked you this, and I know you actually gave me a little mini diagram a while ago, but I think you
I
only gave that
mean-
to me without actually showing it to anybody else.
Well, I'm working
So-
on like galactic politics first, and then I'll do that diagram.
My thing is that it's documented that sometimes this, like, the dead zone has, like, a face to it. Is it an entity that can be talked to, or is it just, like, a menacing face look-alike thing?
So
Yes.
yeah, it does make mention to the skull face when you open it, and I think that's just for kind of like summoning. Because if you look at Princess Snake, right,
Mhm.
the illusion of being inside of Princess Snake and seeing the castle and eating the food, just enjoying yourself. That's technically a minor dimensional space that's completely manipulable by Princess Snake. I feel like it could be the same with the Dead Zone,
Okay.
where the Dead Zone is a being you can summon into existence, but it will try to eat everything around you.
Okay.
Which is, okay, yeah. So if we look at the thanks. Right, so if we look at this outline here,
Mhm.
this
I should probably
one
boot
here,
up Twitter so I can actually see the outline you're speaking of.
probably
Twitch or
this-
whatever.
This, yeah, the stream is there for a reason. But yeah, if you look at this outline here,
Yeah.
and then we come over to
Oh look, my pizza's done.
the Makyo Star's face,
Yeah.
there are some similarities with the fangs. Yeah, it's all fangs, eyes, and yeah, it's just kind of another signal as to the Dead Zone being really tied to the Makyo Star.
Mhm.
And apparently, as the Makyo Star got close to Earth, that's how Garlic Jr. got out of the Dead Zone.
Yeah.
Whole tirade of the similarities with Earth. Now, for what's not similar, is you're gonna be wanting to look at the fauna and do we want to talk about the plants?
Of course.
So this dark energy has really affected the evolution of carnivorous plants, if you will, right?
Mhm.
Vines, trees, bushes, flowers, fruits, vegetables, wheat, moss, mushrooms. Pine cones would probably be just the worst fucking thing. It's a grenade. Yeah, it's all evolved to defend itself. Because Makyo Jin apparently don't subsist off of meat. So the most threatened thing on the planet would be the foliage, the plant life. So it has evolved to attack and eat meat Because there's so much meat on the planet. Namely, Harissa.
He's terrified.
Vine traps, flowers that shoot poison needles.
Could it be that, like, they're like bioweapons almost that could be like a export from the store? It's like, yeah, you want a killer plant? Here you go. Send it to your enemy.
So do you want to hear my favorite thing that I've come up with for this?
Yes.
Cybermen.
You mean those little
Oh
exploding
my
assholes that
gosh.
Vegeta and Nappa used?
Yeah. Cybermen are from the Makyo Star in DBJ.
Huh. So what? The Makyo Star is just It's just a non-artificial Starforge. Just churns out things to go kill shit.
Yeah. Cybermen would be drones that listen to, I guess, orders or pheromones from that which grew it, which is generally just other plants. So they would be defenders of a territory, which would be the area a plant would be growing. So going out to forage, you'd probably have to fight to the death with some Cybermen.
So the way that the Cybermen are like produced for battle is that they germinate a plant that can produce them, and then they put the pheromone on themselves, and then they go out, and then they let the Cybermen listen to them.
So yeah, there'd be insects or whatnot that like move the pollen around, and most plants would be like, oh yeah, attract the insects so I can get that pollen to germinate myself to produce a Cyberman or two, and then release the pheromone that springs forth the Cyberman, and the pheromone is basically stay in this area as an order, stay in the area where you can smell or sense the pheromone.
So just the star is just exporting like, hey, we have deadly things. Here you go. Pay us money now. Or
Yeah.
give us food, rather. We don't want to constantly fight food.
Pretty much. I mean, could you imagine, like a small rose, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's in a glass jar. It can't sense heat or smell person, so it
Mhm.
doesn't move. It's just a regular rose. You give that to somebody, they take the top off to check out this cool rose, and suddenly it spits like 6-inch needles at the person that are, covered in like deadly poison or acid or, whatever, like the shit the Cybermen spew out of the top of their heads.
So what I'm hearing is Ice Jin and Makyo stars usually are in very much like active trade negotiation.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
And quite a few mercenaries for Ice Jin or Makyo Jin.
Oh my goodness. It's like, then in turn is fauna, like just wild fauna, also more aggressive to try and ward off the plants, or is it just
Or survive
more-
in that environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, most fauna would be evolved to survive, probably has a lot of like resistances to poisons or thick hides or
All of the above.
yeah, probably mostly flying creatures.
Right, this is the kind of place where the fucking Terrask evolves from.
But I'd say they also like most of the animals and other type creatures have evolved to also subsist mostly off of fruits and vegetables and stuff like that, because that's just how you would do the thing that hunts you. You want to either hunt it or hunt what it doesn't hunt.
It's like you're having enough issues surviving the plants. You don't need to pick a fight with other animals.
Honestly,
So
most
the-
domesticated animals would probably be used to keep plant life at bay.
Would there be any sort of farming aspect on the Makyo Star, or would like every attempt to, I don't know, domesticate like a plant not work really well? Or is there instances where they can go ahead and domesticate some forms of carnivorous plant and then harvest them?
So I don't know much if I don't know if it would be much of a domestication, but I feel like uh, most harmful plants produce most of what they produce in the ground. So there's
Mhm.
probably farms where you don't even interact with the actual plants. You're just kind of uh, uh, like you walk underneath the plants, you get to the exposed roots, you pull the fruits or whatnot, and then you put the soil back, right?
Okay.
There's probably also instances like what I said where it's just cut off from smelling pheromones or sensing body heat or whatnot, so that way you can move around it, get the edible bits, and not be in danger. So there's probably farming. It's probably a dangerous fucking job.
Oh yeah. So then, would the Makyo Star have had to develop their own technologies to do this, or would they have had to have really good trade relations with Tuffles in this instance to try and make that feasible?
So I feel like the population was probably at a plateau for a long time while they were kind of developing their own techniques and stuff. But I also feel that trade relations with Ice Jin and Tuffles would probably help out quite a bit, expanding research. I wouldn't say they weren't or I won't say they were a primitive race before Contact, but I will say Contact jumped their tech generations.
I can't imagine they have much time to research things when they're busy trying to stay alive because everything's attacking them.
Yeah, I would picture most of their towns or cities or whatnot are like elevated off the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If not outright floating.
Makes sense.
Which wouldn't be difficult. I feel like they have, a darker magical affinity. So they could probably have, enchanted huge boulders to hold up towns or whatnot in.
So what I'm hearing is like the Makio Star is basically like a more dangerous Australia to the rest of the universe.
Yeah, like our Makyo star is Space Australia.
Unfortunately, there's Space Australia magic.
Well, he's getting that. Is there any sort of like social hierarchy in place on the Makio Star, or are they just trying to survive, so they haven't really had the time to put that in place?
So there isn't a stable, all-encompassing government, right?
Mhm.
There you go.
I'd say they're still at a point where each large civilization on the planet has its own style of government. Republic
Okay.
here, dictatorship there, kingdom there.
How technology advanced are they?
They're spacefaring, so
I nobody wants to conquer them because they're fucking Australia.
what are you gonna use the planet for?
Yeah, there's not much resources that you can gain without losing a bunch of men because you don't know how to habitate the planet.
Is the Makyo Star where the ice can get a lot of their poisons?
Yeah, yep. There's trade relations with Ice Jin and Tuffles.
What the hell did the Tuffle pick from them?
Magical items. Makyo Jin and DBJ are very good at crafting magical gear.
I feel like the Makio Star in its essence is just a lot of stuff people haven't seen before. So even if it's not necessarily like a huge thing, I feel like an export of just exotic plant life for collectors would be huge for them.
Oh, reminder. What is the average power level of the Makyo Jin as a race.
Makyo Jin sit at around 900 as an average.
Just to get that into the video, because I think we kind of forgot to put that into the others. Well, no, it came up, just not directly asked in the other two.
Yeah. Move off of the Makyo star for a second in the dead zone, just so we can look at something else,
Yeah.
like the Spice Boys. No. So getting into their DBJ makeup and moving into the whole they make magical items. I feel like that also helps with survival because their cloaks, they can't be identified easily. They could also probably produce something that hides their body heat so that plants don't attack them. Flying apparatuses, they've probably moved so far above tech that adding tech simply aided in the process, right? So they were probably more magical than anything else beforehand. And they have the key resistance, so everything that attacks them attacks with energy.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could just be the effect of their whole dark energy. Key just isn't as effective. Natural defense due to being subject to the radiation of the Makyo star for their whole lives. Embedded in their DNA. Obviously, we only ever saw one transformation in the actual canon, which is their supposed true form.
Okay, so let me kind of elaborate on what we've talked about. So essentially, with the evil energy is with the Makyo star's dark energy. Sorry, dark energy. That's the word I'm looking for. With the plants and the Makyo Jin feeding off this dark energy, it definitely is sort of like a corrupting factor. So, like, even if the nature of that energy is like the only factor to even describe why everything is so hostile and twisted, the fact that it is starting to make even less sense that the Makyo Jin themselves would just rely on fruits and vegetables. While I understand it's like almost like a eat or be eaten kind of deal, it does really be like, hey man.
Well, it kind of the way that I'm kind of thinking about it right now, and I can be corrected, is that it almost seems like this energy, rather than just being evil, is more like severely preservating. So it could be that the really primitive Makyo people didn't want to mess with the animals because they were like, I don't want to mess with any of those. So they started eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, which in turn made the energy let the fruits and vegetables be really protective of themselves. But I don't know if that could be what it's all about.
It's probably also more, I want to say chaotic, raw, primal, as compared to magic of others.
Yeah, like I'm considering this an aspect of like, not evil energy, but dark energy. So like the way Yeah. As I say, it's like if we were to like compare between like I guess I we don't really have a straight comparison or a straight mirror. I mean, Ki is life energy.
Yeah, which is why I kind of try to say like self-preservation, because it seems like, yeah, it's dark, but it seems like more like a fight or flight instinct rather than just evil instinct. Like, cause it see like if we look at the transformation, he just gets fucking swole.
Right.
Rather than turning into a giant, weird-shaped demon like an Ice Jin does. Like
Yeah.
the nightmarish forms that they've got.
Yeah.
And it's like, the fact that this is actually also like another race that has the Jin sub what's the word I'm looking for? The suffix?
Mhm.
The like kind of like Ice Jin, kind of like there was another one. Anyway, Majin. Right, Majin. So that suffix is like it means devil. It means demon and stuff like that. So that probably is just based on the fact of the way that they have appeared and evolved inside of their own energy. But yeah, it's like I can't really see them actually being inherently evil either. Just being able to use that strong negative energy, and it is like, yeah, definitely along the lines of that self-preservation, that like sort of like not death or destruction, but maybe like anti-life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And the dark energy, so the plants and the people don't really feed off of it. It's more like a forced injection. So even people who visit for long periods of time might change over time. Their canines might get longer, the ears might start sharpening or getting longer.
That's neat.
They might, like, if they stayed and lived there for a generation or two, their kids might start looking more demonic in our standard.
That's actually a really interesting character concept to play on. I'm not going to lie.
So if you look at it in that perspective, I feel like, yeah, if somebody was like deathly wounded, a Makyo Jin was deathly wounded and they were taken back to the Makyo Star, I think just naturally they would start being injected with energy, and that energy would probably close the wounds or start healing them over time, just naturally.
And then with this dark energy, did we read more about the Mr. Garlic's reincarnation of within Garlic Jr.? Did the did the energy have something to do with that?
So if we wanted to, this is a spur of the moment thing.
Okay.
This isn't current lore. If we wanted to, we could probably treat it like when Makyo Jin dies, their spirit, quote, goes to the dead zone.
Okay.
And then after a certain amount of time, they can be reincarnated with their past memories. So it's never new Makyo Jin being born. It's always like, you're back, just a constant population.
That would be interesting. So, with this last time then within DBJ, with the star having been destroyed and all of its people and then being brought back, would it have their souls had gone to the dead zone, or would they have gone elsewhere?
Yeah, so when the Makyo star was blown up, their souls would have went to the dead zone, and they wouldn't have been able to reincarnate.
Spicy.
Not without like Dragon Ball interference.
Right.
Yeah.
Because as we've seen, the Makyo star is required to get out of the dead zone.
Yeah.
It's just a thought. We can mull over that as we talk.
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea, considering that's pretty akin to Sadu's tribe in Final Fantasy 14, the
Oh, yeah.
Zayla.
Yeah, the steppe people, the ones in blue.
Yeah, the ones in blue. Yeah.
I wonder if we were gonna go along that route, that would be another reason as to why everything on the Makyo star is so hostile, because it doesn't want to go back to the dead zone when it dies.
That's fair. Dead Zone is a sucky fucking place.
Makes sense.
Everyone else is like, oh man, I wonder what the afterlife is like, and Makyo Jin are like, overrated.
Sucks.
Overrated.
Don't even think about it. So then, one of the question is then for like say people that have lived extended lives within the star, would they go to the dead zone or would they go to a different afterlife? Depending on like when does that crossover happen when they have all of that energy with.
So I would, yeah, that's a difficult one. I'd want something like a solid number, so maybe 10 generations.
Ooh. A lot of energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or if they ever mixed, like, fucking humans, just going places and fucking things. A half Makyo Jin, half Earthling. I believe they would go to the dead zone.
Huh.
And then again, if a Makyo Jin actually left the Makyo star for a while and was actually filling themselves with a different energy, would that remove them from the danger of the dead zone?
From the cycle?
Yeah.
I could see that working out. Like, mystic energy from old Kai. From old Supreme Kai.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it replacing the dead zone cycle. They would know true death at that point, because they wouldn't reincarnate.
Yeah.
That sounds so sad.
I mean, for them, it might be like relief. You have to think about it in like almost like an eternal vampire situation. Like you've already like lived and seen everybody die, and then met people just like them. This kind of situations. I imagine they might like reincarnate again and be like, "Here we go again."
Yeah, that actually does sound like a really cool like thought though. Like, can you imagine like someone is just tired of being reincarnated? They've already gone through this thing way too many times, so they kind of like leave and take a small like pilgrimage to try and change their destination. And it'd be kind of like akin to like saying like a forever goodbye, a big old ceremony and things like that to their people. That sounds pretty.
Well, like the tragedy of Solomon Grundy in the DC universe.
I don't know anything about that.
So Solomon Grundy is cursed with undeath. He's killed and dies over and over again, and he always comes back. And he knows that he's going to come back. And sometimes he comes back angry and just wants to get, hurt others the way he's been hurt. Sometimes he comes back sad, depressed. Sometimes he comes back wanting to just do better than the last time. But he's always supposed to die. And there was one time he came back and he just kind of like searched out Hawk Girl and was like, "Can you just? I don't want to be here right now. Can you end it?"
Wow.
Then, is there the possibility then of a Makyo Jin? I don't know, like having some sort of desync in their energy and then forgetting their past memories?
I mean, there's a high likelihood that they've got so many memories that it just becomes like a shroud. Like, I remember my name, or that my last life I was kind of important in this area, or you can stylize it however you want, where they're like, oh yeah, I remember everything about my past lives, or I think I was a carpenter.
I think I was a carpenter. That makes it interesting because then, say, like, you could think of like this, like the political impact of, yeah, you have to wait a couple years, but then this person that you've had like trade relations with for a very long time is bound to come back, and they could keep on trading with you, and you trust them, things like that.
Yeah.
Then there's the chance that you go to them and just straight up be like, hey man, I'm not that guy anymore. I don't have any idea how to use any of these carpenter tools.
Yeah. Yeah, that was too many lives ago. I don't know. I don't remember how to do this.
Right?
I can whittle you
Yeah.
a horse. Do you want to?
That's all I've got.
Do you want a horse?
I wonder that. Okay. Question.
Okay.
Is it always the same parents?
No.
Is their mom always the same? You could just get born and be like, what if your friends died really early? And then your best bud is now your father, like, okay. Thanks, man.
No, I feel like it's so it's not going to be the same body every time. It's not going to be the same genetics, but it's always going to be the same soul. So one
Yeah.
life you were a male, one life you were a female, one life you were more akin to salt, and then another life you were more akin to vinegar, or ginger. Sorry.
Yeah. I didn't know if it would be like those souls always have like the same kind of path in them rather than the same genetics, which is because then in that instance you could have repetitive families all over, but if that's not the case, I think that's interesting. I wonder if like culturally, like their like weddings and things like that, since most of them know.
Soulmates, yeah.
Yeah, like do they have to like almost like renew their vows every life and then decide to split up and be like, nah, I don't think I'm gonna be living forever with you, goodbye.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, that's very possible. Can you imagine the heartache of when one wants to and the other one doesn't?
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Oh, that'd suck for Makyo Jin that end up falling in love off planet, so they have to live the rest of presumably forever without the person that they wanted to be with.
Yeah.
Do
Think
they
that
lay
way.
eggs?
Oh.
Sorry.
I mean, I know we called them serpent people before.
That's why
Yeah,
I
you
asked.
said we weren't going to.
Yeah, but snakes actually give live birth.
Yeah,
What it-
I think some do, and some lay eggs, but they're like living in the eggs sometimes.
And big snakes do eggs.
Well, they are big snakes. They are serpent-like people. It seems like some corn snakes lay eggs, which are fairly small snakes.
I'd have to look up the percentage of it. I don't know. I feel like live birth, because eggs would be a evolutionary bad idea for Makyo Jin.
What if Though I also think that there could be some benefits. Say if they were able to have eggs that were just sustained, almost like just set aside incubators, kind of like tanks are. Because of how hostile their environment, there's nothing really guaranteeing, especially in primitive life, that a pregnant Makyo Jin within gestation wouldn't get eaten by another plant or something like that.
So Cam, you looked it up. It looks like 15 to 20% of snakes give live birth.
Oh.
I actually have never heard of a snake giving live birth. That's a really weird one.
I have heard of that. I just didn't know how often. I did because I did know of eggs. There's like this whole thing on TikTok where they
The big
We learn
boa
a lot doing
eggs.
these videos.
I see that.
Like,
Yeah, there's benefits to both, but most things when they evolve up to being like bigger or higher on the food chain, they give live birth.
are they really big on their food chain? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Hearing
they're-
about their flora and fauna.
I'd say probably if we wanted to go with percentages, we could do a half and half. Because it would probably also be regional too. I could see like a colder environment having better reason to have eggs because they don't have to move around a lot and there's not that much plant life. Or vice versa, in the colder regions, better to have internal gestation because you know, body heat.
Mm-hmm. And then warmer planets that, with all the plants running around, leave your egg somewhere nice
Yeah.
where it's already warm, and then go out and defend the nest.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, because the way that we have like if we're gonna be putting the rebirth cycle in place.
Yeah.
I think it would be really interesting for one Makyo Jin to having come out of an egg, and then the next time live birth, and then they have a preference on as to which they want to happen.
It's been like, oh, I hope it's a live birth this time.
The other one they're talking to, you want a live birth? I can't. It's too gooey. I want an egg.
Right.
Bro, that would make such a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Which then it goes to like one of the questions I had brought up during another video is that like then this almost kind of sounds like primitive Makyojins kind of were evolved from a bit like a bunch of different types of like species. Like, did they kind of evolve as in like they were different types of animals that just got super injected with different the energy and then evolved to like bipedal people?
Like, you think maybe they actually like choose their evolutionary trait based on what they need to have to survive?
I like
I
kind
think
of
she
like
means, like, regional speciesism.
yeah, like the why mustard looks so different from vinegar and why garlic junior looks different from, you know, the salt. Like, is it as if they're different, like almost as if way back when they were fauna that just got super injected with the energy and were able to almost become different types of people on the Makyo star.
So yeah, if you put it another way too, so say orcas, right, killer whales,
Mhm.
they evolved from a type of canine or a similar wolf-like creature.
Mhm.
They evolved back into the water instead of out of the water like wolves did.
Mhm.
They both had similar paths. They both are like the fucking predator of the ocean, you know, where they're at.
Yeah.
We drop wolves into places to control population of other animals, and I'm pretty sure if we just dropped orcas into random places to control populations of other things, they'd do it. In the same sense as, like, you know, maybe Garlic Jr. is a fucking garden snake, and what's his name? The big one, Mustard.
Yeah.
Mustard was like a iguana, you know.
So then would that open up to like internal like inner star a conflict? How is like the Aishins hate other species? Would it be that there's conflict on the Makyo star of one species believing they're better than the other?
Oh, some inner racism.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. I would say they're highly possible. You can't trust those damn horned tards. Sorry, I had to throw one more jab at Mustard.
So, because we seem to be asking it everybody, are Makyo Jins able to reproduce with every other species?
No.
No. Okay.
No, Makyo Jin do not. Let me come up here. They don't mix with Kais, first off.
Okay.
They don't mix with Saiyans or Tuffles.
Oh.
And they don't mix with Heaters.
Oh.
But they can with humans, and theoretically they can with Ice Jin, even if it's probably never going to happen.
Theoretically, yes. Because they're both lizards.
Lizards.
Oh, did I say Saiyans?
Yeah, he said
My
hey,
bad, not
Saiyans
Saiyans.
anyway.
Not Saiyans, Miss Rosians.
Oh.
Did not mean to say Saiyans. That is my fault. I will say there's probably a bunch of untapped natural resources on the Makyo star.
Yeah.
Simply because it's hard to get to.
Like in terms of like on the site lore, are Makyo Jins like, are they generally off-putting in terms of like personability, like how Aishin are just sassy and kind of shitty to the rest of the universe?
I'd say they're too varied in culture to really standardize them.
Which means some of them are jackasses.
Oh yeah, for sure. Some of them are racist, some of them are super racist, and then some of them are just slightly racist.
Just
Some of
varying
them-
degrees of dick.
Some of them are just small farm folk that are afraid of every type of plant.
Every plant. So do we want to include Dragon Ball Z logic?
Sure.
So, Boo goes to the afterlife and kills a bunch of people, which basically causes them to no longer exist.
Oh no.
So, do we want to add death in the dead zone?
Well, if it's basically like a dark magical prison, I wouldn't see why they're like, because people do exist in some essence there, right?
Yeah.
It would make sense for the murder to take place.
So it would be purgatory, maybe?
So it would be it's very similar to a purgatory. So like you could obtain a true death by being killed in the dead zone. Which
Makes it sound.
It might cause the dead zone to react as well as a balancer to create a new soul.
That would make sense.
So what? Somebody's got to go in occasionally and just obliterate everything in the dead zone to get souls going?
Well, I don't think that's.
You die, you go to the dead zone, you spend X amount of time in the dead zone, you get the opportunity to reincarnate. You die, you're in the dead zone, spending your time. Asshole racist number 1 dies, remembers what happened during life, kills you. You no longer exist. But the dead zone reacts by creating a new soul. Just a brand new, never been born before.
So
the
it
soul.
interrupts cycle of reincarnation, but on a grand scheme, because there's one less soul in the universe, a new soul has to be born.
Right, a balancing act.
I'm curious, along those same lines, how powerful would you have to be to try and force your way out of the dead zone?
Pretty fucking
You'd have-
strong.
Or to maintain your memories through each incarnation? Would that even be a thing?
I think that would just be flavor for the person.
Mhm.
Fair. But to actually force yourself out, like most underworlds, you have to actually be pretty fucking strong and just rip your way out.
Yeah, at least tier 3-ish on most races' power level scale.
Or have some stupidly complex thing set up ahead of time, like some sort of like technological resurrection bullshit.
Yeah.
Like what Dr. Giro did in the Android movie of being a fucking brain in a tube after getting murdered by 18? 17? Which one of them murdered him?
17.
Okay.
Kicked his head off.
So it kind of sounds like the most cultural impact that the Makyo Jin have on their society right now is that they reincarnate and can sometimes remember their past lives.
Yeah. And
They
maybe
haven't
not
really
all
been
of them. Maybe just like the last one or the last couple. Or you don't remember the last one, you remember the one 3 times before that, you know?
Yeah.
Would there be a way for a Makyo Jin to take advantage of that to essentially start off at a stronger power level each time they're reborn?
No.
Okay. Just making sure we're cutting off that little gimmick ahead of time.
If anything, I feel like it could help like establish like ties with a particular character or anything like that, like an alliance-ship or a friendship.
Yeah, it's just a
But-
fun RP thing.
Yeah. But no, that's interesting in terms of like, because we came from like Earth and Nicegen that have their own kind of cultural setup where the Makyo Star is just I'm trying to exist, and right now we're hitting the sweet spot. Now we got to figure out what we're actually doing.
Yeah. Yeah, villages, towns, cities. Concept of a
And-
worldwide government that's never been done on the Makyo Star.
Then I would imagine that like planet-wide transportation between all of like the major all the settlements wouldn't be as pertinent. Like it wouldn't it could be under construction right now, right?
Yeah, it could be just starting construction.
Crazy.
Some of them might not even want to be part of that whole. Don't travel to me. Who the fuck are you?
I didn't see like an average lifespan. I just kind of saw that they live kind of long on the site, but I don't know what that is.
With a race that definitely has something to do with like being like anti-life, they probably don't die very easily. If not by like actually going down in battle, they probably stay alive for a very long time.
Especially with the energy constantly coursing through them, like preventing and healing injury.
Oh yeah, they probably can span a few hundred.
Yeah, they can probably make it a couple 100 years. Would explain why Garlic Jr. looks so young. Even though he died, fucking long time ago.
Yeah.
When the nameless Namekian split into Kami and Piccolo, Garlic Jr. or Garlic was also up to become the Guardian of Earth at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a long time ago.
With them figuring out like some essence of figuring out domestication or at least harvesting of hostile plants and the little green guys that I just forgot their name of. Like Cybermen, yes. So then I would imagine trade would be negotiated by each individual like a
landowners.
tribe head, yeah.
Yeah, just a turnip farmer on on the Makyo star, just trying to make a living.
Would it be then that, like, since they're just starting to get stable, is there any type of, like, current, like, government of a different planet or something like that that is trying to reach out to the Makyo star and trying to, like, set it up in terms of trying to maybe not, like, take it in, but kind of assimilate it as, like, a city-state so they can have those resources, or begin to send out a team or make up a team of Makyo Jin that can actually assess what is viable on this planet?
Yeah, the Earth Federation. They're always sticking their noses where it don't belong. Right? Do we all have a better understanding of Makyo Jin? Because I know I do. We changed some stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna end the video here.
Yeah.
We've been
Sounds
talking
good.
about other things. People don't need to know about this.